Wait, how you testing your mic, but I don't get to test mine?
Because you are by default loud, so
Whatever.
I just set it for loud.
Whatever.
Me, I speak with a normal.
Wait, what?
Normal volume.
There's nothing normal about you.
Psh.
Nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome you back to another episode of Black Law and Legal Lies, your number one source on the internet for legal information.
Except for maybe your penis. That's probably less than normal.
You know what? I've actually had somebody tell me, you have a very average penis. And I'm like, how do you even? Like, one, why would you say that? And two, how am I supposed to take that? Like, very average. What the fuck does that mean?
Well, that means that in the spectrum of fairly little to overly large, you are...
This bitch, not only average, she said very average.
Very average.
And
You're
I'm
not
like,
impressive.
I'm like, I didn't even fucking ask you. What the fuck is you talking about?
Well, you didn't have to ask her. You disrobed before her, so that basically invited her critique.
Well, for me to have a very average penis, America and our world listeners, she sure started hitting herself and then tried to call the cops and say I did it.
Wait, that made no freaking sense, but okay.
Well, if it's a very average penis, why are you going out your way to try to get me to come back when I left?
See, because...
I know the bitch crazy, but still. But still.
Yeah.
Man, well, my name is Dan, a.k.a. online.
Very average penis.
Internet, social media at I Am Dan on Drugs. Keep up with this show on all platforms at Black Law Podcast.
And I'm Just Dan, and you can follow me on Twitter at I Tell Legal Lies.
And she has a very small penis. Man.
I do. It's called a clit.
So she did all that crazy shit. Like, one of my friends had to stop her from calling the police and saying that my friend witnessed her hitting herself. She took her arm and slammed her arm in the door.
Yep.
And my friend witnessed this
Yep.
and called me and was like, this bitch is off her fucking rocker. What did you do to her? And I'm like, I ain't done nothing other than said peace out. Well, she's trying to leave marks and bruises so she can call the cops on. Like, yo, man. Bitch, you need to go get some big penis or some shit, man.
No, the thing is, that's what you like, though. You curate. No, you curate crazy. You do.
Once you get the law involved and shit like that,
not nothing. You actively seek out women who have
damage
issues.
Yeah, I like the damaged women.
See, that's what I'm saying. So you curate crazy. You do.
That's above and beyond crazy. When you start hitting yourself and then trying to kill yourself and doing all this other shit because a dude you hooking up with, we ain't even together.
No, but see, in her mind, it wasn't a hookup. And you know this. You know this. In her mind, you were not a hookup.
Man.
So you know this.
Scary shit. Ladies, stay away from that average penis. It'll get you caught up out here in these streets doing crazy shit.
Ladies, stay away from crazy people.
Man,
men in particular.
Out here looking for somebody in broad daylight with a flashlight. Shit. Surprised her ass ain't do that shit.
Wait, do what?
Man, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, every single woman prior to Becky, of course, was crazy as fuck.
So once again, you curate crazy.
Son.
You collect your whole menagerie.
No, I don't do that in threesomes.
Is a
shit.
collection of crazy, is what it is.
Man, that shit is wild. So anyway, enough about my dick. And what we're going to talk about today is...
You know what? More often than not, I remember back in the day, we used to say some kind of way, either you're nuts or your dick
That's the
wind
theme.
up in the conversation.
That's the theme of the show.
Like, yeah.
Theme of the show. I know everyone's tired of hearing about the election, so we're not really gonna cover it much other than to say we got a new president, son.
Thank you, Jesus.
New president.
Thank you.
So my mama actually came up with a good idea. Seriously. You know how we may not get control of the Senate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Biden administration offers 2 senators, Republican senators from states that will hold special elections, cabinet positions.
Seats. Yeah, but see what happens though, you would have to make sure that those 2 Republican senators have Democratic governors, because if they actually leave, then the governor is going to appoint someone to replace them. That's actually how McSally,
whatchamacallit, not Rahm Emanuel,
we took that seat back,
what's
Arizona. So, but that's actually how McSally got put into that position, because John McCain died.
Mm-hmm.
So needed a replacement. Governor appoints them, right?
Not in some states. Some states have special elections.
They do, but
get some of them.
Right, for the so you would literally have to find a non-Republican leaning state, which if you had Republicans elected are probably Republican leaning states. And so if they had a special election, probably would be replaced with another Republican. So what you want to do is find, like I said, Republican senators that are from states with Democratic governors, where the governor actually would appoint their replacement.
You remember what's his face? Rob Blavoy, how you say his name?
Mm-hmm.
He tried to sell Obama seat.
Mm-hmm.
That dude said highest bidder. Come on, we got
Give it to me. That's right.
Man.
That's how he got his whole spot blown up.
He tried to sell it to Jesse Jackson's son.
Like, and he crazy than a bed bug too. Whatever that dude, like after that whole scandal with him, he fell off. Like that. Now that you saying that,
disappeared.
Never heard that dude again.
Jesse Jackson Jr. So if anybody's heard from Jesse Jackson Jr., let us know.
Right.
So in 2020 and every other year leading to 2020, one of the things that we're used to seeing is miscarriages of justice, such as the Breonna Taylor case, such as even the George Floyd case, because they bumped the charges down.
No, they dropped some of them, but they kept the major ones.
And by the time it's said and done, those are gonna get lessened probably.
But one good thing I can say about that case, all the defendants are gonna be tried together. So that's a bright spot.
That's gonna be interesting.
It definitely is, because now it's gonna be a case of it's a dog-eat-dog world. You know, you are literally like, if you are being tried separately, you might have a shot. But when you're being tried all together, like all this evidence pointing, it's gonna be like rats on a sinking ship.
How do you feel about the one cop? I think it was the black guy that was like his 3rd day there.
The one that said, I was just I didn't know any better. I was just listening to what.
So you think about it, right? If I'm on the job with a 17-year veteran and I am a rookie, I'm green, I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't think I would be in a position to question his tactics, what he's doing, because I'm taking this shit in and like, okay, so this is what we do.
Because you're supposed to be training, but the problem for me is more procedural, because according I think their procedure had not outlawed things like that. So it was more, you're absolutely right, not that he could not have stopped him. Nothing in his procedural manual, nothing in his training would have told him that this was wrong to do. That's where I'm at with that. But
And with that though, what Paul said, being a rookie firefighter, right? You learn all this shit in the academy and basically the SOPs, the by the book shit. You get into the field, nobody does anything by the book.
right.
So it's like, man, I don't know. But so we see a lot of injustice. We see a lot of miscarriages of justice. So kind of what I figured today would be a good thing to talk about is that. But before we get into the worst miscarriage of justice that you've seen, that you've been a part of, that you might have done to somebody,
Did not ever. Thank you.
formal opinion 481, which is Code of Ethics by the American Bar Association.
It's a model rule.
Model rule.
And what it is an opinion based on, well, it is the interpretation of model rule, I think is 1.4. Is that it? Okay, so it's the Bar Association committee, I think the ethics committee, their interpretation of what model rule 1.4 requires and does not require. So that's what formal opinion 481 is. That's something that they did back in like about 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'll read just a paragraph I got in front of me. Model Rule 14, Model Rule of Professional Conduct 1.4 requires a lawyer to inform a current client if the lawyer believes that he or she may have materially erred in the client's representation. That means they fucked up. Recognizing that errors occur along a continuum, an error is material if a disinterested lawyer would conclude that it is A, reasonable likely to harm or prejudice the client, or B, of such nature that would reasonably cause a client to consider terminating the representation even in the absence of harm or prejudice. No similar obligation exists under model rules to a former client where a lawyer discovers after the attorney-client relationship had ended that the lawyer made a material error in the former client's representation. So what I get from that is if an attorney fucks up and I'm their client right now, we're going through some shit, right? You have to tell me you fucked up. But if you represented me, say we did a contract, right? And you fucked my contract up, you do not have to tell me because like what I'm thinking, okay, an attorney, they might not have caught the error, right? But they go with another client and they use because I know how y'all like to do. Y'all like to use templates.
Why reinvent the wheel?
And then they realize in doing that for another client, like, oh shit, I fucked up. They don't have to tell their former client that they fucked up.
That is 100% what the model rule and what that opinion would have you believe. I am of a different opinion as far as that is concerned. I think I even told you that, like, and I'll give you a reason why. But that's absolutely right. Like if if you think about lawyer-client relationships, you have 3 different ways that, you can be engaged by a client. It can be for a discrete matter, meaning a specific matter. You can be retained by some company or some person, not for anything specific, but I pay your retainer so that I know I'm gonna have some legal things come up. So you're my team. So there's that, and then you have what I say discrete. So specific, you have retainer clients, and then you have like clients that, for lack of a better word, let's call them episodic. or episodic client. So or they just come to you when something happens. Like
That
they don't
would
know.
be probably most clients, right?
Right. So yeah, like say you're get into a car accident and personal injury attorneys are typically that's episodic. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in those three scenarios, if you are retained by a person or a company, then you have a continuing client attorney relationship. So if 5 years from now you discover something wrong in that particular situation, you would have to tell them, because that you've never ended your attorney client relationship. But once that attorney, like for the discreet one, I want you to handle my divorce. I handle your divorce. It's over with. All matters are decided. Wham. Attorney client relationship done. So now you're a former client. And then, of course, episodic.
You're always a former client.
Right. So the rule says, and the opinion states that, well, as far as the rule is concerned, current clients, you 100% have an affirmative duty to do something. And that is to tell them if you messed up materially. If you don't, then you are subject to disciplinary action.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an American Bar Association model rule, but most, if not all, of bar associations in every state, they have adopted the model rules and, put some little extra stuff in them as well for their state. So that those opinions matter because, like I said, they're called model for a reason. The American Bar Association put them down. Most bar associations picked them up, and the opinion matters across the board. So, having said that, though, when you asked me about it, and I said, and you said, but not former clients, and I said, yes, you do. The opinion says that you do not, meaning if you didn't, you wouldn't be disciplined, as opposed to a current client where if you did not tell them that you materially messed something up.
Wait, let's describe discipline. Are we talking criminal charges, civil?
No, it is. So every bar association has something called a disciplinary committee. So you mess up, you commit malpractice. If you don't commit it doesn't necessarily have to be malpractice, but for instance, that rule, that model rule you're talking about, 1.4, in it, there are different sections of it. One of the key things that you are required to do is keep in contact with your client about their matter, right? You have to have communication with your client. It can be periodic, you don't have to call every day and say, oh, this happened, that happened, but you have a duty to inform your client about their case, right? Mm-hmm. That's where a lot of lawyers actually get messed up because they don't keep in contact with their client.
And we had Paul on the show, and his lawyer did not keep in contact with him.
Correct.
And blew all of the tolling deadlines. Correct. And other shit.
Correct. And that is that right there, 100%. She had a duty to call Paul,
mm-hmm.
And tell him everything that she had done wrong, and she didn't. So when I was telling Paul, you need to talk to the State Bar Association, you need to get, this person disciplined. So that arm of the bar actually hands out slaps on the wrist or punches in the face, for lack of better terms. If you do something wrong as a lawyer, it can be anything from
disbarment,
suspension, right, of privileges to disbarment. And that is the way that lawyers no longer practice, not of their own volition.
Now, do lawyers have insurance? So say your whatever you did fuck me over out of millions of dollars, and I come back and I sue you. I know you might not have millions of dollars, but you have an insurance policy to cover that
malpractice. Every lawyer, new, old, and in between, should have malpractice insurance, because you never know when something may come back and bite you in the butt.
And if you don't, something gonna come back and
bite you in the butt, and you will wind up like the same reason why anybody has the reason why you have insurance on your house. If something happens, you don't want to have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your pocket. You know, you're hedging your bets against it. So that's what malpractice insurance does. It provides a safety net. So if you have done something wrong and it does come back and somebody sues you, you get to, your insurance company helps you fight it. If you lose, they pay the money, you get to move on. Instead of going bankrupt because you have to pay somebody millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So
now talking about communication, right? Informed consent.
What about it?
What that is, ladies and gentlemen, I'm explain.
Now, let me say that it is not sexual.
I wasn't even gonna go there.
You were gonna go.
Wait, no,
let
seriously,
me finish.
I wasn't.
Let me finish before you talk about informed consent, because when we're talking about formal opinion 481 and the model rule, and actually the duty that you have to tell someone or tell your current client that you materially messed up, that opinion and the rule says client, so current client. And I said that you should inform prior clients too. And there's a reason for that. Like when you brought this subject up and I started and I read the opinion, I was shaking my head and you mentioned tolling. You know what tolling is?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know what it is. Tolling is basically the amount of time you have to tell you. It's almost wait. It's almost different. Let me finish, man. It's almost like asking for an extension while you come up with some new evidence because you're still in the process of gathering evidence.
All right, so we have statutes of limitation. And the statute of limitation tells you that you have a specific amount of time to bring a cause of action, right? What tolling does is stop the clock. So say you have a year to file a petition. Tolling, like I said, stops the clock for something triggers, and tolling will stop that. So I said that and I ran that down quickly because this is the reason why I said, even though you're not required by the rules to actually tell a former client, you may want to do it anyway, because you could face a malpractice lawsuit, and the fact that you did not inform the client of the material mistake could stop the clock on the statute of limitations, stop the clock on the time. So you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna just go wait it out, and then year goes by and you go, I'm free. But a judge might say, you know what? That time was stopped because you never informed, you knew and you never informed. So it's like, that's what my head, I don't know how true that is, but that's like when I started reading, I was like, nah, this could be a potential problem. And that's why. But
Okay, so informed consent,
Mhm.
going with the whole communication aspect. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll take the liberty of explaining this to you, even though I actually haven't looked up the definition.
where did that come
But
from? No,
we getting there, man. We getting there. Communication. So if I'm representing Bob, right? Bob got some shit going on. And I'm talking to the DA, and the DA is like, look, we'll cut Bob a deal, we'll drop his charges to XYZ from capital, like second degree murder to manslaughter. And rather than facing 10 to 15, he'll be looking at 2 years, whatever, right? So I have to, I can't make that call. Bob has to make that call. So I have to go explain that to Bob and be like, look, this is what they're offering you. And the 10 to 15, you fight it, or 2-3 years, you plead to a lesser charge. So Bob says, okay, I'm pleading to a lesser charge. That's informed consent. I informed him. He gave me consent to go back to the DA and say, yo, my client said this, that, and the other.
You stupid, bro.
Man, that.
But
how
you
is
know
that
what?
not informed consent?
Now, here's the thing. For people who don't know and did not know you, they would hear that and be like, shit, that's exactly, sounds plausible. What informed consent has to do is like conflict of interest. So if you are representing Bob, right? And so Bob robbed the bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Bob
allegedly
Bob robbed the bank with Sonny, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but Sonny was just a getaway driver, right? Sonny never went in, or Sonny was the lookout. Sonny never went in. So in a world, in the world of the law, in the legal sphere, Bob and Sonny should have lawyers. They should have different lawyers.
Let's hope.
Because you never know where something might be better for Bob than it is for Sonny, or vice versa. So where informed consent comes in is, I tell you that I'm going to represent, you want me to represent both of you. And I say, okay, I will represent you both, but be aware that there could be conflicts of interest and yada, yada, yada. And then y'all say, okay, we don't mind. And y'all sign off on, you like run down, look, here's what could happen. Here's the spectrum. Y'all need to know this, and this, and this, and this. Now y'all know. And if y'all decide to say, okay, screw it, we don't care, then
I think I've seen this in a case that I was helping out with, right?
Oh wait, really? Because you sound like a lawyer.
Yeah, something like a lawyer. I was helping out with a case, and it was a real estate case.
Okay.
And the attorney of the estate, there was like a mother and a father who had been married. They got divorced, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they both had stake in this property. So the attorney said, for me to sell this house, do this, that, and the other, and represent y'all, take care of y'all, I'm gonna need y'all to sign a what's it called? A conflict of interest situation. So they both signed off, and then the attorney helped them liquidate the estate pretty much. So that's an informed consent.
Pretty much. It's like, right.
So the reason I bring that up is in our community Now, this is again some serious shit in our community. When we deal with the judicial system, there's a lot of shit, not even our community. Let's just say most Americans don't fucking understand what's going on. And you have attorneys that are coming back and explaining to us what's going on. And I know a lot of people that don't ask questions. They just shake their head, their
Yeah.
eyes glassed over. But they don't understand. And rather than saying, yo, I don't understand what you're telling me, I don't understand what this means. And then they're kind of faced with a decision they have to make, like the example I gave earlier, which is they're asking you to plead to a lesser charge, this, that, and the other. A lot of things just aren't explained well enough to
Not in
people.
layman, right? In
Right.
layman's terms.
So sometimes people will make a decision just kind of based on how it sounds to them, but not really know what's going on. And that could be another just I guess another avenue to what I would consider a miscarriage of justice if somebody pled they're completely innocent. And we see this all the time.
Oh, I was about to say, yeah.
People completely innocent, they get their court appointed lawyer, public defender, whatever.
And they immediately trying to plea
deal. Deal.
If you plea, and I remember I'm trying to remember all the circumstances. The thing where who was it? And they basically were like, I'm not pleading to anything. I'm innocent. I'm not doing it.
And spent years in jail.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of cases like that. One of them was a black man, and I don't even remember what the charges were, but it was maybe a couple years ago.
Right, but and then in the end, DNA freed him. Like they put him in jail. He refused the plea, and the plea was something like a manslaughter charge or something like that. And he was like, no, because I'm innocent, whatever. And his public defender was trying to get him to accept the plea, and he was like, no.
Was that the dude in Baton Rouge for the rape?
It was here. What I'm thinking about, but
so either way though.
Yeah, but yeah.
Now that's one of the things I personally consider a miscarriage of justice is when your client doesn't understand what's going on, even though you're explaining it to them, and they have to make an informed decision with the information you've given them that they don't understand.
Right.
So that's one thing. And like I said, we know, like, I want to say the statistic was something like 80 to 85% of people plea deal. And what's even more scary is 60+% of people who are innocent take plea deals for crimes that they are innocent because they don't want to go to jail. They don't want to be in a long, drawn out legal battle.
Right.
Things that
and that within itself, you talk about miscarriages of justice. That right there, that's one of the main reasons that you see a lot of people become disenfranchised. Because once you have this record, now it's hard to get a job. And like you said, you're innocent.
Mm-hmm.
But you accepted this because you didn't have the money to fight. The lawyer that you were given by the court doesn't have enough experience, or they're completely jaded after years of being in this office and they don't want to fight. It's like, just take the plea and go. And that within itself, that really is that is a travesty, and that is one of the things that's not broken, because as we said before, the system is not broken. It's designed.
It's working how it should work.
Exactly. So that is one of the design elements.
And another thing too, I was literally just talking to someone about this, which is now, of course, this is a black man I was talking to, and I got to say I'm guilty of this too. At some point, you'll do some shit to get out of some shit, and in your head, you're telling yourself, I'm gonna fix this later. I just don't want to deal with it. So what his was reckless driving. And he, rather than getting an attorney, and I didn't know any better when I got my reckless driving. I didn't know that was a criminal charge. So I'm just like, whatever, I'll pay the ticket. But it is a criminal charge. He got it, and he had more than one person tell him, yo, don't go to court and just plead guilty and pay this ticket. Get an attorney. So he's like, nah, man, I already started paying on it. You know, I'm paying in installments or whatever. It's like, yo, by the time you're done paying all this shit, you could have hired an attorney that would have got it reduced to, like, I don't know, a moving violation, and then as long as you don't get another
non-moving violation. Yeah.
So that his whole thing was, I don't even know where to start. I've never hired an attorney before. I don't know how to do this. So fuck it, I'll just fix it later.
Right.
So things like that. And it's like you're even given the information, but not quite enough information to take the first step. Especially this was young boys in his 20s.
Right. You're given the information, but you don't know how to process it. You don't know how to take that information and dig through what you need to dig through in order to do what needs to be done for you. And that's another thing. You know what I try to do, because people are always coming up to me and handing me things, telling me to read it and then tell them what it means. And
shit, I do that all the time.
Right. And the thing is, and I do that freely because as I like to say, it might sound trite, and it is a schoolhouse rock thing. Knowledge is power. So if we're talking about informed consent in the context of if you have enough information to make the right choice for you, but having all the relevant information and understanding that information as well. So people hand me things all the time, and you know, the craziest thing in the world is if you sat and you thought about it, we sign stuff. That's a pet peeve of mine. Signing shit and not read, people signing stuff and not reading it. But we do that every day, all day, because we don't want to take the time, and we feel intimidated by the person handing us this thing. And I mean, we see it in business all the time. I mean, people in our business.
Man, speaking of which, just to kind of add to that, right? Recently, within the past year, right? I was presented with a contract that was in excess of 30 pages, right? Me and a group of other people. And it was probably about that thick, say, give or take. I read every single page 4 or 5 times, circled shit, highlighted shit. I even found a misspelling somewhere in there. And what's crazy is, I want to say maybe one other person, maybe 2 out of 6, 7, 8 people, however many there were. We all got this same contract, and nobody read this shit. And what they were doing is they were coming to you, asking you, yo, what's in this contract? Can you tell me what it says? It's like, before you get to the point where you ask someone who does do this shit for a living, at least take the baby steps first.
Right. At least try.
Read the shit before you fucking sign it, man. I'm with you. That's one of my pet peeves too.
But that goes, I say that to actually chime in on what you're talking about. Like I said, that whole having the information you need to consent and know what you're doing, know what you're talking about, know how it's going to affect you. So many of us, we don't understand. And once again, system is not designed for us to understand, right? So we sign these things, legal documents. I mean, you put in your Hancock, you're signing something.
Hancock.
Shut up. Put your signature on something. You are making yourself liable for that thing. And so do it all the time. It's
How
like,
many times have you seen this? Somebody sign their life away or whatever, then they bring it to you and say, look, how can I get rid of this? Like, say a car. How can I get my money back?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you just signed your fucking life away.
Yes, and yes. Family members, they kill me. They do stuff, and then after the fact, they call me, and it's like, what can I do? And it's like, and then, I always have this puzzled look on my face, and it's like, what do you mean, what can you do? I can tell you what you should have done.
Not sign the shit.
Right. Like, well, what can I do? They can't make me. You know what? What's the contract say? Well, I don't know. Well, why'd you sign it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
man, that shit's crazy. And I see that a lot too. And part of it, I saw this interesting article. We're gonna have to cover it another time, but the one I sent to you about why $200 Jordans aren't the problem when it comes to financial inequality in the Black community.
Correct.
But a lot of our people want shit. They want it now, and they'll sign anything to get it.
Right.
And then it's like afterwards. So, all right. Last thing, right, is lying to your attorney. I know that's highly advised against, right?
Right.
Lying, because how can you defend me if I'm not telling you the truth?
Right. I don't want surprises.
But my question is, let's say I'm on trial for murder.
Mm-hmm.
I killed the motherfucker, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody in their right mind who would tell their attorney that's representing them, yeah, I killed the motherfucker. So in a case like that, right, should you tell your attorney that you are guilty of murdering somebody? Because if I'm not mistaken, an attorney can't get in front of the court and lie for you, right? So how can you basically
no,
tell them I'm innocent?
I have, one of my duties is to defend you. So I could see you do it, right? And I'm your attorney, right? And you tell me that you did it. Attorney-client privilege prevents me from saying that my client said he did it. I can't say that. But what my duty is to defend you. So I have a duty to mount a defense, right? But here's the thing. So say I ask you if you did it, and you tell me no, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then this audio surfaces of you admitting to the crime. My whole thing is surprises. I need you to tell me everything that you can tell me that is going to help me defend you. If you did it, tell me you did it. Because maybe what I can do then is work out how this might have been a case of self-defense. I need to have lines of attack, and something that you tell me may click in my head, and I can say, okay, we can use this as a defense, or we can use this as a defense. But I need to know all the facts. I don't need any surprises. And that's what, when I was practicing on a daily, I would tell people, and then I didn't even do criminal work. I was doing family law. That was my area of practice. And I would tell my client, either male or female, look, I am legally bound by our relationship to not say, to not tell anything that you tell me, right? But I need to know, like, if you have a crack problem, if you have a drug problem, I need to know that.
And this is what I would ask you as your client. I would say, would having a crack problem benefit me? Because I can have a crack problem if I need one.
You see, but no, the thing is, especially in family law context.
Oh, nah, I ain't got no crack problem in family law.
See, that's what I'm saying. Because the thing is, just to give you an example, had a client and I failed to ask the question. And that was that, believe it or not, that was a standard question for me, to ask whether or not you had any drug or alcohol issues, because.
But what addict is going to say I have an issue? I can't see it.
You know that you have one thing. If you are a crackhead, you're a crackhead. If you are a pill popper, you're a pill popper.
I only smoke crack on Fridays.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
well, guess
casual.
what? I got a cousin that is a crackhead on the weekend.
But the thing is that I wouldn't call that a crack problem.
Oh, really?
If I smoke crack socially. It's like going out to a bar.
Really? So I have a social crack.
Yeah.
But you know what? Tell me that. If you have a social crack problem, tell me that you smoke crack socially.
But here's the problem with that is, even though I know you're representing me, and I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for the regular people
probably
of the world.
99% of the people out there, right?
I need to make myself look as good as possible for you to defend me. So if that involves me not giving you certain information and just crossing my fingers and hope the shit don't come up, but I'm not going to tell you I'm a crackhead. I'll be hanging out with Pookie in the Carter.
But you know what? That right there is going to be the way that I get out of representing you. Because if we are in court and as Wolf Blitzer likes to say, what bombshell? Something explodes in court that you could have told me about. The example I was going to give. So we were doing this custody dispute, right? And just like drug and alcohol use is a standard question that I would ask. What I would also ask is about people in your life, like significant others. I would ask about that. I'd also ask about if there were any open cases with Child Protective Services or anything like that. Has there been any domestic violence, X, Y, and Z? So I asked those questions, and I had a client, got asked all the standard questions. No.
That's what anybody would have said.
Right. So then we get in a court, and I'm going to say my bad too, because normally, even after people tell me no, I do a bit of research. I didn't.
You go to like crackhead.com.
Right. I do a bit of research, and I didn't because I knew this person, outside of our attorney-client situation. I knew this person, and I had known this person for a fairly long time, maybe like 10 or so years.
Did they ever come over your house and your VCR was missing?
No. So anyway, getting to court, we're having this hearing or whatever, and I am handed some evidence that opposing counsel was going to enter into
discovery.
The record, right?
Discovery, right?
Yeah, some discovery.
Yeah, see.
Right. So what this discovery winds up being, not that I hadn't asked for certain things, but this was something that apparently or supposedly landed on the lawyer's desk hours before the meeting. Right? Hours before the hearing.
So basically, you standing there, someone walked up from behind and punched you in the head, and you like, yo, Where the fuck that come from?
Right, pretty much. And what it was open cases with Child Protective Services. So apparently this woman had her children taken away from her on multiple occasions, right? Because she was a known drug abuser and all sorts of other things. And it's like, and like I said, this is someone that I knew. But I ain't know them like that, you know. And what you said about presenting your best face forward. And it's like, but that America and Beyond is a bit of information that you really do need to take to heart. If you are engaging an attorney, their job is their main focus is to help you come to a resolution to your case that most benefits you. Be honest with your attorneys. You have no reason not to, and every reason to do so.
And coming from where we come from, though, is we don't trust the law. And even though you supposed to be on my side, fight for me, you still the law, and we don't trust you.
I guess, so why engage then at all?
Sometimes you don't have a choice. I mean, it's like
why
Bob,
engage?
my man Bob done murdered somebody, and he can't just show up and represent himself, because then he be sounding like one of them woke niggas in there talking about Your Honor, I would like to bring before you the court that I am a incompetent citizen of the moral society. Man, get your ass.
But no, that, like I said, that's a tip. Be honest. Be honest. And
well, can't your lawyer drop you though?
Yeah.
So if I tell you I murder somebody and you like, nah.
Okay, but you still, even if I did that, I still couldn't turn around and be like, yeah, you know, he told me that he murdered somebody. You know,
now you know that happens. You know that happens. So all right, let's end with this. We're discussing miscarriages of justice and just different avenues, how we get there. What is the worst miscarriage of justice that you've seen personally or been a part of?
Okay, so I've seen, as I said, family law was my area of practice. And worst thing I've ever seen was child taken from their mother, given custody to their father.
Abusive father?
Not that the father was abusive, the father wasn't there. Like the father had not been there, right? Did not supply support, had not been in the child's life. But along comes father, because he now has a new family and decides that, okay, I want this child, and went in the court. Judge had like mad money, got this fire ass lawyer, and in the end the child was 3. So in that particular case, child can't tell you who I want to be with. So
do they take that into consideration?
At some point, like depending on the child's age, the judge can take into consideration who the child wants to be with.
So basically, if you're a father trying to get custody of your children, just make sure you got that PS5 at the crib. Kids gonna pick you.
So daddy swooped in, and like I came in on the back end of this. I was second chair on this case, and judge awarded the father custody, domiciliary custody. So, because in spite of the fact that, he had pieced out at some point, um, judge thought that it was in the child's best interest that child reside with father, because father had brand new house, had a wife, had, a stable job, whatever. Mom didn't have that. Mom lived in a trailer, and mom didn't make big money at the job that she worked at. And I mean, there were other things, there were other factors.
See,
But
that's that bullshit because some of that now, I'm always ride for the men in most cases, but I can tell you, I was in that situation myself as a child. Mama ain't had shit. We lived with roaches, rats, mice in the slums. Father had single family home, had a family, remarried, had other kids. And I'm just like, nah, bruh.
Mhm.
I'm looking at how I came up now versus how his kids came up. Whew. But your living conditions don't necessarily
mean
determine who you're going to become.
correct.
And this shit's not permanent. You're never, I know a lot of people that's permanently been in the projects, but I know more that have gotten out of the projects. So that shit shouldn't even matter as long as you got a fucking roof over your head, trailer or not.
Yeah, well, like I said, dude had this high dollar attorney, and one of these Big Ten New Orleans firm lawyers, and had a bit of money behind them, and took the baby. And it was like, mom was devastated, because it was like, 3 years you were barely in this child's life. You provided support when you felt like you wanted to, and like that, I still think about that one, because it's like, damn.
So has that ever come to any resolution as far as mother getting child back?
That I never followed, like, after it was over. Like I said, I was second chair. I was brought in on the case. It was the mom was represented by S Southeast Louisiana Legal Services. So of course, even though like they
that's like a law clinic, right?
It's not a law clinic. It's a poverty law center.
Okay.
So basically, for people who don't have the means to pay for an attorney, so she was getting services for free, and the lawyers weren't bad lawyers, but resources were limited as far as what they could do, research, private investigation. This dude had a private investigator, had people following her, had people following, like where she had the child when she was working, and then when she was going out to party. So like painted this picture of her as like this person who was no good for her child. And it was, like I said, it tripped me out, because I was like, well, damn.
Man, I've seen something similar to that in my own damn family, but I'll start with the worst injustice I've ever seen.
It happened
to
you,
me.
Of course.
Happened to me.
Of
But
course.
no, seriously, I'm not gonna say it's the worst I've ever seen, but that shit was bad, and I told the story millions of times on here on Few Screws Loose. But in short, skipped school, ended up in a detention facility for juveniles for 3.5 years. The crime and the punishment
Did not
just don't
match.
fit. And of course, when I say that, I'm really shortening the whole thing because no, I didn't get sentenced to 3.5 years. I got sentenced to I don't even remember. Let's say 90 days.
Yeah, but then you started acting an ass in there, didn't
Well,
you?
you have to, because you ain't gonna let nobody take your canteen shit. Like niggas be in there gambling with playing spades, man. Look, I got good at spades because you will get your ass beat. But it's like just for that, skipping school, 90 days, let's say, then get in there. You gotta fight because if not, you're gonna get picked on and whatever. And it's like 3.5 years for skipping school.
Right.
That shit just still to this day doesn't register. And you know how people say, oh, time heals all wounds, just you gotta let it go, that's the past. Nah, because I would hate to see that shit happen to a child today.
But
because
it's
of what
happening, though.
I know it's happening. And I went through it, and like the damage it did, that shit is irreparable. Irreparable, I'm telling you. No, but seriously, it is irreparable. And so the other thing though I saw was my father. One of his baby mamas, because we know he was just sowing his seeds everywhere.
The bank lady?
Nah.
Oh.
The crackhead. She was a crackhead. She known cocaine, but it's all the same.
Correct.
So she was a crackhead. She had all these drug charges. They ran up in her house, raided the house, found all kinds of
paraphernalia.
Weight.
Whoa.
So she was.
Wait, so she was running drugs?
Nah.
Oh.
Somebody she was living with. The dope man was living with her.
Gotcha.
So same thing that happened when my mama tried to get child support from my father. He turned around, filed custody. Yeah, that shit got kicked the fuck out of here because I don't even know that nigga like that. But he did the same thing. She wanted child support so she can continue her drug habit. And he was like, custody. So went to court. And this time he had a top dollar lawyer, well, for what he can afford. They presented the court with all of this evidence that she is, what do you call them, incompetent mothers or whatever. Yo, she's a crackhead. She has all these drug things. She got the dope man living there. The police, ATF, whoever, DEA kicked down the door, found all this coke in there. They was like, nope, that doesn't prove that she's an unfit mother. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, how does that not?
Because back in the day, and this had to be back in the day.
This is in the 90s.
Right? So it is hard. It was hard as hell to get a judge to separate a child from the mother. And it's just a fact of life. I know, you talk about all the time how fathers get bad breaks when it comes to custody. It's true. Back in the day, it was very hard. But if you find the right judge, because there are some judges who lean towards fathers and there are some judges who lean towards mothers. So
but you don't have a say on what judge you get, do you?
You could.
Share shit.
Like you could. So what normally happens, like the process, like you file and the clerk assigns, the clerk assigns the judge or whatever.
Reschedule.
Huh?
You reschedule.
No, if you reschedule, it still be in the same court or same judge. But if you know people in the clerk's office, and you say, I'm filing this and it'd be good if I got Judge so and so. Put it on Judge so and so's calendar.
So you would have
put it
to
on
know.
Judge so and so's docket or whatever. Yeah, like that too. I don't know. It's been so long since I've actively practiced, and they may now have because of things just like that. They may now have a different system for assigning suits to judges. It might be computerized now. I don't know. I haven't filed suit for anyone for a very long time as far as family law is concerned. So how they actually designate what judge hears your cases, I don't even know how that shit goes anymore. It's just that crazy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. This has been an informative episode, getting back to our roots. You know what I'm saying? Back to our roots, talking about my dick and the law. That's the show, ladies. That's the show.
That's the show. No, it's your nuts.
Well, usually it's the nuts, but I don't even know where that shit came from today. But I was actually thinking about that shit the other day. You have a very average, like, bitch, I didn't ask you. I don't care. Oh, shit, I got to show you this thread, too, now. There's a thread. There's this dude texting a woman, and she posted the screenshots, bless her heart. The dude was like,
you got an average pussy?
No, they were about to hook up, right? So he was like, when's the last time you had sex with somebody? And she was like, why does it matter? What if it was yesterday? Oh, no, because what I want to know is, because, he could have had like a mandingo, and, then, you get with me and you like, oh, he ain't as big as the other dude. So, but I could see if it was like a year ago, because then it's out of your mind. And the chick is like laughing at like emojis and like nigga, what? So the dude, like, his insecurities were
killing. He was killing everything.
I don't know what kind, like, and women even say this too. Men talk themselves out of pussy, and that right there, he talked himself out of. It's like,
because one thing a woman does not. Women love confidence.
Wait, his word were his exact words were, you was with the mandingo yesterday, and then today, you be like, oh, I'm with the shrimpy today.
Really, dude?
That's literally, I gotta say, that shit was so funny. And I'm like, as a grown ass man, he had to be a young dude that had some kind of traumatic experience.
No, all I know is, people, well, insecurity is a thing for everybody.
Yeah, it is.
But women love confident men. You don't have to. Confidence for me is a major turn on. Like, you don't have to be Denzel Washington. You don't have to be Idris Elba. But if you are confident in who you are, confidence goes a long way. And on the flip side, women too, I'm sure, I don't know, I can't speak for men, but
we don't give a fuck. We don't, like I said.
No, you tend, you're, like I said, you like them insecure. So, okay.
Nah, but, and I'm like, I posted on there because I'm like, look, nigga, I don't care if your shit is this big, this big, rock hard. You know what? Fuck the shit out of her with that little piece of shit, man. Cause, like,
no, what you do is, true story. And, I'm going to share America and Beyond. If you got a good tongue game, sometimes the dick don't even matter. And true story.
Yeah, if you working with this, you better have a good tongue game.
Exactly right. True story. When I was in college, like, dude was not that short, but he was very thin. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was like, but he showed me something. And I was with that dude for a whole semester.
See? I mean, look, you know what your shortcomings are. You gotta make up for it elsewhere. But at the end of the day, it's like, dude, if you're out here working with this shrimpy, there is literally nothing you can do about that. It is what it is. You got what you got.
Physiology.
And
you can't do anything else.
I can say it now as a grown ass man. I don't give a fuck what a woman thinks about my shit. Who cares? I know what I got. Now you know what I got. Oh well, we fucking or not. Cause
for real, y'all don't care. It's just like that.
It really is. I might have been a little self-conscious when I was like a teenager. Like, you be watching porn and you see shit that's like this fucking long, and you're like, I wonder is there a second puberty? Wonder when I'm gonna get that big.
When is mine gonna grow?
Yeah, but as a grown man, I don't give a flying fuck because women talk. They're gonna tell their girlfriends.
Well, I can tell you that. I mean, in that same vein, women are conscious of flexibility, shall we say, because processes of having babies and other things like that, you lose elasticity. So
I've thrown a hot dog down the hallway a few times.
have you? See, that's the type of shit I'm talking about. So women are conscious of that. Like, wait a minute, or whatever. But so I guess I could see where old boy like totally jacked his own head up by thinking about it. But
it's like, dude, y'all was gonna do it. Now you're not because you lifted up your skirt.
Right. You talked.
So
really?
Anyway.
Lifted up his skirt?
Yeah.
Really?
Lifted up his skirt. Yeah.
Why gotta be a woman? Why?
No, he's a man who lifted up his skirt. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been another episode of Black Law and Legal Lies. We hope you learned something today. Keep up with us on social media at Black Law Podcast. And you can keep up with me, Average Dick Dan, at I Am Dan on Drugs, Twitter and IG.
And you can follow me on Twitter at I Tell Legal Lies. You know what, you stupid.
I don't know why I thought about that shit today. I'm like, I can't believe that hoe told me that shit. Like, I did not fucking ask you. She just straight up like volunteer. I don't care.
Stop.
Crazy. That's how you know her ass crazy.